Hello everyone, this is Ari Moshe Wolf of Heart and Soul Centered Astrology. In today's video, I'm going to speak about Mars moving into an opposition with Chiron in Aries. This opposition is happening just several days before the upcoming solar eclipse. And on the other end of this eclipse, Mars will enter into Scorpio and square Pluto in Aquarius. So there's some really strong Mars activations happening on both sides of the upcoming solar eclipse on September 21st. It's always meaningful to give attention to and acknowledge strong Mars activations. Whatever happens, like Mars always promises movement. Like that's the essence of Mars. It says we're in a constant process of becoming, and that life is always leading us to the edge of where we have yet to make the next choice to open up the playing field of this ongoing soul journey. So with Mars, I always say it's not a matter of whether something will happen, be it an external event or being triggered or instigated by our own will and desire. There's going to be some kind of activity stirring the pot with a strong Mars transit, for sure. The question is, what will we do with it? Now, people do what they do with it. We all do what we do. We have our own soul program, we're playing out our karma, and we just have to accept. We can't stand on our pedestal and preach peaceful warrior and try to make the world a just place, because the world is what it is. There's this edge, and it's a sort of mysterious, undefinable edge with Mars that points to the nature of the soul's journey itself, where we have on the one side the predictability of our human response. You push us relative to our deepest fears and weakness and defensiveness and sense of vulnerability, and it's predictable what we're going to do. And so the ways that we will create polarization and come into fear and anger and hatred, this happens. And then we have on the other side of this fine line, this mysterious point of agency and free will, where we all in our own way, I don't know how, there's some element of choice that comes in. I was listening to a talk recently, and this man was saying beautifully that it's hard to explain the line between grace and effort. Because even the moment of stopping and realizing, what I'm doing hurts. I don't know if I want to go in that direction. Like that, there's some grace in that as well. Just wanted to acknowledge that. So this point of free will is that stopping. Is this moment where we realize a profound thing, which is I can choose differently. That moment of choice often happens, whether we like it or not, as a result of going so far in a non-peaceful and a violent direction. We can swim in it, we can get lost in it, and I think there comes a point where we realize that generating more fear, anger, hurt, blame, victimization, polarization only causes more pain for ourselves and only generates more of what's causing deep pain and ill in the world. That realization has to be real. Now, this Chiron opposition is where it becomes real. There is the possibility in the midst of all of the pain and the polarization of becoming very, very present with how deeply vulnerable and tender and painful this actually is. It's like being in the heat and being in the midst of playing out that Mars program. Unchecked, without any self-awareness, Mars operates very instinctually. And when we're really charged, when our deepest sense of fear and victimization is elicited, we're going to act on a very sort of instinctive and visceral program that requires no thought. It's like a machine that will just kind of do what it does on that level. But when we really see it, it's like, wow, I'm in this war zone. I'm swimming in hate. I'm swimming in you're right, you're wrong, I'm right, they're wrong. All of this incredible hatred and division. By the way, Mars in Libra, as I've shared in recent videos, I'll make sure to link it. That's one of the tricks with Mars in Libra. It's like standing on that high horse of moral justice, calling out people that aren't doing it right, that aren't being just or balanced or fair or equal, right? There can be that sense of I'm here to fight and correct all the wrongs in the world. But it takes some self-awareness and really getting present with what's really happening now, outside and inside, to catch how much violence we might be generating in our own life. And now these words will land or they will not land. it has to be experienced. And this is the Chiron medicine. We actually access the pain, the actual pain of what we are doing, not what other people are doing, not what others have done or are doing, but what you and I, what we are doing in our behaviors, in our actions, and how we're choosing to walk this path. We all have a life purpose. And one of the things that Mars points out is our choices and what we're generating attention towards, in a sense, says what we believe is valuable and worth living for. That's the path that we're giving attention to in this really short human experience that we're playing out. So we meet that pain, we meet that vulnerability of how tender it is to be a part of this hatred. That's where the choice comes from. And I think that Mars-Chiron opposition says there's no real meaningful change without getting present to the vulnerability and the pain, the tenderness of what's really going on inside. And I want to share a little story with you. This is a vulnerable story, and I feel this is really appropriate to share this. So, earlier this week, I'm with my daughters, and my toddler did something that I didn't like, and it's not uncommon for toddlers to, hit, pinch, whatever, spit at other people. And so she did something, and it really, really bothered me. In that moment, it just brought up this, a deep sense of anger, of overwhelm. It involved my other daughter, and I just felt so angry that this keeps on happening. And I reacted with, that's wrong. You don't do that. Go, time out, right? I just cast her out. And she ran away crying, and immediately I just felt in my emotional body that that's not the right way. I didn't know what the right way. I think a part of often when we act out in these sort of visceral, direct, forceful ways, it's really because something sacred has been hurt and violated, but we don't know what to do. We feel afraid. We feel lost. We don't actually know how to respond. Often the most gross, just deal with it kind of response is what we know is accessible. That anger is often masking for a deep sense of oh, that's really sad. That's really hard. I feel really sad that you did that. So I did what I did, and she ran away, and she's crying, and I immediately knew to walk over to her and sit with her. And I'm just with the grief of what I caused. And this is not the first time. And I'm with her, and she's crying for mommy. Mommy is putting our son to sleep, or hopefully sleeping, and I don't want to bother mommy. And I know that screaming for mommy is because in this moment she feels unsafe and unloved and uncared for, and daddy isn't a symbol of care. And so I just got really present with her pain, and I said, I'm so sorry that I yelled at you. How did it feel? Did you feel scared? Yes. Did it feel scary? How did you feel? Scary. Yeah. And I don't remember the exact, it's something, inviting her to express how she felt and letting her know that I see that. Oh, you felt really scared when I yelled at you. You felt really scared when I yelled at you. I'm so sorry, just really, and I where did it feel pain? Do you want me to give you a little kiss? And then she says, will you hold me? So it was able to shift really quickly into a vulnerable place where she was just needing love and affection from her daddy. I mean, I can think about my own childhood and how many times, I bet almost all of us, if not all of us, can probably relate to this, right? How many times did we get the message, go away? Whether we did something wrong or someone interpreted us as doing something wrong, right? Oftentimes we're just told, get away, you're the problem. And immediately there's that, whatever the intentions of the adult figures in our life are, we do this to each other in a relationship, right? It's this is what we do to each other. Oftentimes it's just protection and defense, but we internalize that Libra message of rejection, unwanted. So experiences like that where we realize what we are causing, and oftentimes, it comes from justification, they did something wrong. They being a child, they being a friend, a lover, someone else from another political party, whatever. It's they deserve it, or they, then we realize what we're generating, the violence and the hurt and the pain that we're causing to ourselves and so many other beings. It just takes getting present with that. And I'll come back to that inquiry again. How do we get present with that? There has to be some opening of availability to learn and to want to learn a different way. There has to be some availability within us to grow, to want peace, to want to know what peace is, to want to know what healing truly is. And I think once we have a sincere interest and availability towards that, we begin to learn that peace is also not a thing that we can hold on to and keep for ourselves. We have to give it. So that little availability kind of begins to open up a greater field of awareness where there's not as long of a tether between our actions and what we're causing and our self-awareness. We can't live with it maybe as long as we've used to. It hurts more, it affects us more quickly, and that's a good thing, but it also means there's more pain. It's harder. Always Chiron transit says there's a path of healing, but that happens through meeting the condition, the pain. So just to speak to the other dimension, think about Mars moving into Scorpio squaring Pluto. I'll probably share another teaching on this, but there can be such deep victimization, anger, revenge energy in that. And then that Pluto and Aquarius, the other people, the other side, that which is not me. So we really need to be aware of where we're generating hatred and polarization within our consciousness right now. I think this happening on both sides of the eclipse window is a powerful container for deep, deep healing. Mars transits always offer that possibility for deep change and deep healing because, again, it's reflecting this ongoing process of becoming. And if we want to grow, we want to learn, our experiences will take us to our learning edge. It will happen. All that's needed is desire and availability for it. May it be so. Couple announcements this weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, depending on when you're watching this video. It will be recorded if you miss it. I'm getting together with my evolutionary astrology colleagues to teach a free class on the life wisdom teachings of Jeffrey Wolf Green. This will be a beloved class, a beautiful class of honoring this teacher and his teachings. Most of you have not necessarily encountered him or his teachings, but his influence is very deep in my work and in many who are carrying this lineage on in their own way. So I hope you will join. Registration required, and if you register, you can get the recording link as well. I have my community membership open, and the first month is free. Check the description for all of that, as well as my sessions, my newsletter, and my self-study training program. Thank you so much for watching.